all of the high performers struggle with this thing. It's never enough. It's never enough. And they have been brainwashed to think that's a good thing. That keeps me going, right? But you're just operating from a place of scarcity the whole time. You're just operating from a place of chronic stress the whole time. Whereas the opposite would be, I'm already whole and complete, and I'm acting from that completeness. God as a CEO means that you surrender the things that you are attached to. An easy way is to reverse engineer an outcome where you're like, okay, what do I want? Like, what do I genuinely want? It's a process that you create. It's a process that you know you can control. That as long as you focus on that process, sooner or later, the goal will take care of itself naturally. And the energy behind it decides whether you're able to sustain it and enjoy it and be powerful inside of it, or whether you're going to be suffering, be ineffective, and just essentially hate the journey. My last boss choked me. He punched me in the, he punched me in the face. I then choked him against the wall. But he initiated the whole thing. He punched me in the face. And the job that I had before that, he physically punched me. I was like, thank you for that. That was a great experience. In the moment, obviously not. But looking back, I say, because he was the last boss on earth that I had. I never had a boss again.
Welcome to the Clear Brand Marketing Podcast, where we take the mystery out of marketing and help you get more leads and sales with a clear brand and proven marketing tactics. I'm your host, Alexander. So just to start us off a little bit and get to know you, why don't you share your journey in entrepreneurship, Mario?
Absolutely. So the magical fairy tale of my entrepreneurship journey kicked off in New York in 2014. I co-founded a e-commerce startup called All and Sundry, custom-made shoes. And I started out as an intern. And I asked the founder of the company that if he's willing to make me his co-founder, given that I proved myself in terms of work, dedication. And he said, I like your attitude. You've got balls. Let's see if your words match your actions. So then after I did prove my commitment, he made me officially the co-founder. And then we built this thing up for essentially 5 years. And just like so many other entrepreneurs, my primary reason for becoming an entrepreneur is I wanted more freedom in my life. And when I learned about being your own business owner, instead of having to work a corporate 9-to-5 where you are being told what to do, that pretty much sold me. And so what I realized on that journey in New York is I had way less freedom than anybody that I knew. I was working 7 days a week, pretty much I got up at 5 a.m. and then I ended my day at 8 p.m. in the evening. And so I was hustling, I was grinding, and I was barely making enough money. When you create a startup and you run a startup, you pay yourself very little because you want to reinvest everything. That's pretty obvious. But what started to dawn on me was like, I don't know, it's like a pipe dream. In the beginning, it felt amazing. I was super driven. I was so inspired by what I was doing, what we were building together. And over time, it started to fade. And, we had celebrity partnerships, endorsements, Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl champions, Sony's The Blacklisted TV show, billionaire clients. We had a lot going for us, right? So on paper, it looked successful, but on the inside, I had no time for any human connections. So I felt pretty lonely, to be honest. And I was always on, so I could never really stop thinking about working. And some people may think, oh, that's a great thing, right? Because it shows how committed you are. It's like, nah, it means that you never give yourself a break. And when you don't have a break, you don't give your mind and your body rest, which means that the quality of your decision-making starts to suffer from that. And on top of that, I was living this super isolated lifestyle. It's all I was identified as was just as a business owner. And I thought that, that's a great thing because, like I just said, shows how committed you are. But what I started to realize is that because I was so narrow-mindedly focused, I was missing out on learning how to really connect with people. And, it's an interesting thing. Even if you sell a product like a shoe, we weren't in the shoe business. We were still in the people business. And so the richer your connections, the richer your relationships, the easier it is to open doors to opportunities, to bigger opportunities. A lot of people do cold outreach, which is important, right, to do that. But cold outreach compared to introductions in your network is nothing. And so I learned that my isolation, my removing myself from what it means to be a human being was actually negatively affecting my business, but obviously it was also affecting my mental health. And so I burned out. Like, I had a panic attack in New York. I started, my performance completely dipped because I was just so incredibly tired. And in that journey, I realized that in order to create a really successful life, you have to build it in alignment with who you are and with something that inspires you beyond just making money. And the reality is, most entrepreneurs, they do what they do just because they want to make money. They call it freedom, but essentially it's financial freedom, thinking that will finally give them the life that they've always dreamed about. But few entrepreneurs ever get to that place. And for me, when you're building something that doesn't fire you up, inspire you, and just fulfill you on a day-to-day basis, then what the heck are you waiting for? Like, this promised land will never come. And that is exactly what happened to me. And I was doing coaching and public speaking on the side because I was so inspired by that was something that I could do 24/7. And now I had two things running parallel. And I had an honest conversation with myself. Like, am I truly connected to where the All in Sundry, to where the company is going, to what we're doing, to how we're making an impact, to also what it allows me to do and to grow? And the answer was no. I wasn't aligned anymore with that business. And so I had a conversation with my business partner. I said, look, I want to go all in with my coaching and my speaking. And I think it's time that we sell the business. And so we looked for a buyer. And after many months, we eventually found a buyer who decided to buy us out. And that's when I left New York. And I said, I'm going to find a way that makes it possible to create a business that one, of course, gives you the kind of lifestyle that you want, but also, and more importantly, that allows you to live a truly meaningful, purpose-driven life where you are operating at your best, where you don't have to create results at the expense of yourself, at the expense of your relationships, at the expense of your health. To me, that's not success. To me, that's a form of slavery. Like, you shouldn't be suffering the whole time. A little bit of suffering here and there is probably inevitable. But if it's like a constant experience, which is the case for many entrepreneurs, then why even bother go on this really, really hard, long journey called entrepreneurship? Like, you should be enjoying it and be successful in it. And so that's what led me to what I'm doing today.
Yeah. So first question is, I'm kind of can't believe that your business partner decided to sell also. Like, why didn't he just buy you out? Why did he want out?
Because he said that if I'm not going to be doing it anymore, then he doesn't want to do it either, because we're very deeply connected. And he's like, I can't see myself doing this alone, or I can't see myself doing it with anyone else other than you. And that was the reason.
Wow. That's a good bond.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So you said that you think it should be possible to grow a business without, suffering too much or without sacrificing your life, really.
Yeah.
What makes you feel like that's possible? Because that kind of goes against the common thought process of you have to just grind it out. You have to, in order to reach greatness, you're going to have to sacrifice these other areas of your life. And you're saying something different here. So what makes you think that's even possible?
Well, one, I'm doing it. So I'm living proof of it. Two, I've coached well over 2,000 people over the past 10 years that I'm doing this kind of work. And I see obviously the many success case studies, of the clients that I work with. But even to put that aside for a moment, you have to understand, first of all, what is it that creates suffering, right? And suffering is a mental concept. It's not a reality. You can have an entrepreneur, take a Tony Robbins, right? A Tony Robbins kind of type probably works more than most entrepreneurs. He's the kind of type that works, I would say, anywhere from 10 to 14 hours a day. Maybe a little bit less now because he's gotten a lot older, but no doubt he's been there. He would have never described that experience to you as suffering. Never. A guy like that is lit up. That doesn't mean that there's no hardship. That doesn't mean that you're not going to run into problems and everything is just always picture perfect and wonderful and green all day long. No, that's not realistic. But what does grinding mean? Where does the to grind come from? Right? It's from an actual grind. And the grind is like in the mills that were used to take corn or wheat and then grind it down into fine powder. So to grind actually means that you're taking something bigger and you're grinding it into small pieces. So if you apply that to yourself, you are taking yourself and you're grinding yourself into small pieces. The grind comes from a place of trying to force things into existence. And what I'm proposing is, I'm not proposing work less or chill more, not at all. I'm proposing to work in alignment. In alignment with what? In alignment, first of all, with yourself. So most entrepreneurs don't reach that part. What it means to work in alignment with yourself, first you have to start with in alignment with how you're actually feeling. And most entrepreneurs, they're not connected to how they're feeling, or they're scared of how they're feeling. So there's this whole bullshit around, use your pain as fuel. Yeah, you can do that. But you know what it does? Pain is an extremely short-lived type of fuel. You go, man, why am I not making that kind of money? What the heck is wrong with me? I gotta go hard, man. Just stop being a loser. And then you go and you push yourself. But what happens the next day? Bam, you crash, right? It's because you're in this survival kind of energy. And when you're in survival, your body mobilizes energy. It takes energy away from certain places inside of you and bundles them in one particular place so you can fight for your life. It's like a saber-toothed tiger used to chase you. Obviously, you don't want to stand in front of that tiger and go, hey, kitty, 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 what? You look so nice. What a wonderful day. No, you want to go, fuck, and turn around and run. So your body will move blood into the extremities, into the arms and legs, into the muscles so you can run. But that comes at a great cost. It's like a little bit of stress is good. A little bit of stress is good for your body. Trains your muscles, gives you some resistance, you build strength. But if you have chronic stress, you will shorten your lifespan. And what happens also from a thought process, think about it. If you're in a stress kind of environment and for prolonged periods of time, your peripheral view, so you being able to see what's happening left, what's happening right, starts to narrow down. So you are in the tunnel, quite literally and biologically. Why? Because it's a survival mechanism. When you were running for your life, you didn't need to pay attention what's left and right. You need to know, am I going to run straight and not trip over? And can I look back and see the animal still chasing me? That's all you need. And so in the entrepreneurial realm, what that means is if you're in this highly stressed environment, you don't see the opportunities anymore. You miss out on the crucial insights. All you see is the goal. All you see is the goal. But if you attach yourself to a goal, then what you're doing is, no, I don't want to take any other input. I don't want to learn anything. I just want the goal. And so a goal is not set for you to necessarily by all cost achieve it. A goal is something that you align yourself with and you move in the direction of it and you become a greater version of yourself. And as you evolve and grow and you look at the goal, oftentimes you look at it and you go, you know what? It doesn't feel aligned anymore. I've outgrown my goal. Let me set a new goal. Let me set a different one. And so you're constantly evolving. But if you don't do that, if you just stay fixed on the goal, then the evolution doesn't happen. Then you are suppressing parts of yourself that are like, you know what? I'm no longer I'm no longer connected to what I said 6 months ago. I want to change. I want to upgrade. And that's also where innovation comes in. That's where you're truly making things happen from a unique place. That's a business that truly says, this is Alexander. But if you look at the landscape of entrepreneurship today, there's 100 million Alexanders. Why? Because they all bought the 1, 2, 3 step formula from David, who sold it. And now everyone goes to David's strategy. Anyone now becomes a mini David. And you're like, who the heck am I? And so then you lose yourself, right? So I'm curious to hear what you think about that.
Oh man, I love this. I love this conversation. So we've got a couple things here that I want to dive into. And I want to start with the stress. We've got alignment with self, which I want to circle back to. But, I've thought a lot about stress on my own journey. Started a business. I've got a kid. I've got another kid on the way, and other things happening in life, right? There's a whole lot of stuff. And it seems like my wife and I, especially since having a kid, kind of find ourselves saying, there's just always something, there's always something happening. And what you said about the kind of running from the tiger, this chronic stress, I've heard that from some other kind of mental health and folks, but I'm really curious about the balance between eliminating stress or minimizing stress, because that's kind of what I hear you, like, if we don't want to be under chronic stress. Okay, so that means we should be in some way minimizing or getting rid of some of the things. But the other thing that you said that I found interesting was that suffering is a mindset. And so there's something here where maybe this thing that's stressing me out doesn't need to go away. Maybe I need to change my mindset around it. So what's the balance between these two things, getting rid of the stress versus just changing my mindset around it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I love that. So let's talk about suffering first, right? Suffering in its essence is resistance to pain. So suffering means, let's take a business case. Say you set a goal for 100K a month, and then it's close to the month and you're at 70K. And then you look at that and you go, fuck, oh my God, man, this is not supposed to happen. This is wrong. Why I messed up. I failed. God, I should have caught this earlier. It's all that self-depreciating kind of talk that you use. Now, the pain is I didn't achieve what I set out to achieve. That's the pain, right? Now, what we do mentally is now we focus and we ruminate about it. We go, oh my God, why did that happen? How come it never works out for me? I'm such an idiot. We create a whole drama around the event that happened. And when we do that, there's this very famous saying, which is so true: what you resist will persist. If you resist the fact that it didn't work out the way that you wanted it, guess what? You get more of the energy that you're creating in the moment. So you get more fear of failure. You get more disappointment. You get more shame. You get more guilt. Those emotions, they are heavy on you. So they're going to drag you down. And that's how we prolong suffering. Suffering is resistance. Let's say you have an argument at home, right, with your wife or your husband, and something happens. You guys just have a big argument. Now, you can accept the fact that you had an argument and that you feel a certain way about it. Or you can go, oh my God, why did we argue? What if this is going to be end up in a divorce? I can't take this anymore. I'm going to tell my buddies about it, and you go on and on. Now you're creating suffering because you're not accepting the event. The event is my wife and I, we had a big fight. And I feel really angry about that. I feel also kind of scared and sad about it. Okay, got it. So that's the reality. Okay, that's how you're feeling. Great. If you can accept that truly without making it a thing, guess what? You allow yourself to feel that and you have more freedom because now you just allow that to be there. And men, you and I and your other listeners, we have, unfortunately, in this case, we have a tendency to always look for something to fix. We're very mental in that. Oh, problem, fight with wife. Oh my God, fix strategy. Okay, try to talk it out. Try to analyze it over. Make suggestions. Go think about, okay, I need to fix myself. What's wrong with me? Again, you're prolonging the suffering loop. And so that creates all that baggage. And there's something that I do with my clients called the law of open cycles. It's like your computer browser, right? If you look at your computer browser, for the people that are listening now, once you do that now, look at your computer browser and how many tabs do you have open? If you have more than like 5 tabs open, that's a problem. Why? Because your mind, and in this case, your computer or your browser, cannot handle so many tabs. Like I've had clients with like 20, 30 tabs open and half of them are frozen. And there's music playing and they have no clue where it's coming from. And this is the same thing in our mind. You know, oh, I have an argument with my wife. Then I have a customer who's unhappy. Then I have my father who says I never call him. Then I have my mother who complains. Then I have my sister who does that. Then I have my young child who's that. And we have all these tabs open because we don't deal with it. Because as entrepreneurs, the number one kind of limiting belief we have is I don't have time. So we push it away, push it away, push it away, push it away. And then you wonder why you can't focus anymore, why you can't concentrate anymore. So suffering is a mental construct that is always trying to make things that happen wrong. And when we deem them as wrong, we now investigate in which way we can make them right again. And that just creates this big, big, big loop. And so stress, obviously, chronic stress is terrible for you in any given way. There's just no benefit to chronic stress, but you do want to consciously challenge yourself. So what do I mean? Go to the gym, okay? You lift heavy. And you maybe you add a little bit of extra weight beyond what you used to be able to hold and to push. You join coaching programs and you let someone like me challenge you, and you're like, really? Are you truly happy with the way that things are? Normally you might say, yeah, all good. But if I push you on that a little bit, you might be saying, actually, I'm not. I hate my clients. I don't like my team anymore. Oh my God, no, I'm not happy. See, now that's somewhat stressful to say that. But this is good stress because now you're seeing something that requires intervention in your life. And so you want to push yourself to the out of the comfort zone. But you don't want to over push yourself. Because if you over push yourself, it would be like instead of going from 100 pounds to 110 pounds, you go from 100 to 200. Your muscles are going to rip. Your bones are going to break. And then you
get injured.
Exactly, right? And that's what happens mentally with entrepreneurs and emotionally, or like in the nervous system, is they burn out. And because many entrepreneurs are so attached to their business, they don't even take a break when they're burned out, which means now they continue to work. But now it's like, imagine you're driving a Formula One race, right? Which is entrepreneurship. And you lost 2 tires. But you're like, no, I can't go to take a pit stop. No. I got to keep going. So now you're driving the race with 2 tires. Yeah, good luck winning. Like this is called, prolonged suffering, and you're just too afraid to step a little bit back and to actually recover and to then reapproach it and to again work with more of your mental, emotional, and physical capacity to make the kind of decisions that lead to more effortless growth.
So there's a balance. I mean, and I like your workout analogy because that's exactly, I think a lot of folks know there's kind of this J shape to you do a workout, you've torn your muscles, your ability is now hindered a little bit while you're in this recovery phase, right? So it's this, right. If you're looking at a graph of muscle growth, initially it's down a little bit. So the rest phase is actually just as important as the workout.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't rest enough, then you don't, if you do rest enough, you exceed your previous ability. Right. And so if you're tracking your workouts, one way to tell if you're working out too much is if you're kind of plateaued. Maybe you need to add a little more rest in there. And then from what I've read, you should, and I suck at gaining muscle. I'm just a skinny guy, I don't eat enough is my problem. But you should be able to meet or exceed the previous workout every single time. And so if you can't do that, there's a sign you need to rest more, or in my case, eat more.
Right.
And so I'm hearing you kind of apply that here. Like, yeah, work doesn't require as much rest as a workout. You're not doing a workout and then resting for a day or two right afterwards, but it does require some amount. And so there's kind of this balance that I'm hearing of we have to, a big part of this is taking on stress. Like, that's where life is. Life is in doing the hard things, doing the workout, taking on the clients, getting in the sales calls, learning skills that you didn't know before, but not going so far that you injure yourself. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah. And, there's I want to also make it clear that what I'm saying isn't this kind of black or white thing where it's like, okay, now I've worked, now I must rest. Now I've worked, now I must rest. It's the secret, the key in high levels of sustainable performance over long periods of time is to be able to be rested while you're taking action. So if you think about it, a lot of us, especially when we're working from home, we're working hunched over. Like, we're looking forward, hunched over, shoulders are tense. And the way that we breathe, most of us, is up here. So very short, shallow kind of breath. And so what that does is you're constantly in this fight or flight state on a physiological level. Like, if you take up more space, you slow down your breathing, right? You breathe into the belly. Let's do it now, right? Take a deep breath in. Just one breath, and immediately you feel a difference. So what I mean by that is you train yourself to change your breathing patterns over time so that the required rest periods actually start to shrink. The reason that happens is because your actual work doesn't cost as much energy. You're accessing a level of flow. Like, if you look at martial arts people, right? Like in all kinds of ways, you rarely, if ever, maybe in MMA, you don't see the alpha male kind of type. Like, yeah, come on, yeah, like this, like, sort of gorilla man. You see usually the best people, they're very composed, they're very calm, they're very deliberate about their movements and what they do because they're conserving energy. Like a samurai warrior, some of the fiercest warriors in human history, they are deeply, deeply, deeply devoted to peace, to Zen. But they will, defeat armies 3, 4, 5 times their size. Why? Because they're so deliberate with what they have, with what they have available. So they're not exhausted. Like, for instance, the difference that I see doing this work that I do now versus before, now at the end of the day, look, for me, it's now 7 p.m. I've been up since 7 in the morning, and working all day. And I feel great. I don't feel exhausted. I don't feel like, ugh. But back in New York, when I was working my custom shoe brand, I would be done at the end of the day. I was floored, right? So what we're talking about is essentially significantly increasing your performance without trying to increase your performance. That's the caveat, right? You're not trying to. It's a byproduct. Why is it a byproduct? Because you are truly connected with who you are. You're no longer at war with yourself. The whole grind philosophy is all about war with yourself. You're not good enough. You have to fight harder. You have to push harder, go more, do more. And people think that's a way to become better in terms of performance, but it's actually doing the opposite. Tell me about one professional athlete that has that kind of mentality, like one that's operating at a high level. I'll wait. You won't be able to tell me one, because they know that they cannot be at war with themselves if they're in a high stakes decision place, because the other one that will knock them out.
I'm reading a book called Relentless by Tim Grover.
Yeah, I know that. Yes.
Yeah. So he coached Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and all these guys. And that's one of the things he talks about for the highest of the high performers is they harness that. It is your word is alignment. He talks about how they're he says it in different words, but basically how they're not at war
Sure.
with themselves. And before we lose this, because I think we're gonna get into alignment here next, but I love this idea of rest while taking action. You said that, and immediately my soul was just like, that's something I know is true. Like my intuition was just like, yeah, I've experienced that,
Yeah.
because in work, I think we kind of get lost in this. It feels like I'm working all the time, but we actually have evenings and we have weekends, and sometimes you can't stop. I just got through a period of about 3 months that was probably the hardest 3 months of my life, and there's no ability to stop. I mean, having kids kind of changes what rest looks like, and sick kids also change what rest looks like. And there's evenings though. There's weekends. There's the breathing's huge. Have you heard of something called heart math?
Yeah, of course. I've practiced heart math.
Man, I had done it years ago, and at some point in this 3 month period, I was like, I'd lost it. So I bought a new heart math, and for anybody who hasn't heard of it, you put this sensor on your ear, and then it measures your heart rate variability, and it translates that. You have an app on your phone. It translates that into what they call a coherence score.
Yes.
So you slow down your breathing, and then it has different guided kind of meditations that teach you how to breathe and how to control your heart rate variability, which is a sign of stress or the opposite of stress, the lack of stress.
Yes.
That thing, it's amazing. I mean, it's basically magic. Like everybody should get one of these things. And you sit down and you slow down your breathing, and you can stare at your basically your coherence score in real time, and you can sit there and in real time experiment with, how do I control my ability? How do I get this coherence to a higher level? And you can actually feel it as you get to these higher levels. That is massive game changer when it comes to stress and recovery. I'll do a 10-minute session, and I'll feel like I can just get up and go. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Like,
it's huge.
And
this rest while taking action, like I love that. I love that idea.
Yeah. And I love what you said and the beauty about this, it's all already available to you. The heart math, the instrument that you have is great, but you don't need it. Like the technique is about learning to create mind and heart coherence. And coherence means flow. That's essentially what it is, because non-coherence is you have these waves that overlap, that don't match. You have this survival frequency, which is stress. But if you can bring your mind and your heart into alignment, you have flow. And that's when now you get to access your resources at their highest potential. And that's when you outperform people, not because you want to, but it just happens naturally. And you require less rest, like we said before. And, talking about the heart has its own intelligence, which is something that we're only beginning to explore now, but it's profound. Like I do so many things around the heart with my clients, and many of them, like they've never experienced anything like it. And all of a sudden they open their heart and they're like, holy shit, like, wow. And they feel incredible. They feel unstoppable. They feel so connected to themselves, so much at peace. And what that does, it gives you incredible clarity. And, another thing about the grind is grind people are characterized by always working. But what if you mostly working on the wrong things? Have you ever asked yourself that? What if 80% of my time is going into a direction that doesn't create meaningful progress for me personally? But why am I doing it? Oh, well, because I'm afraid of slowing down. I'm afraid of not taking action, because then I'm meeting all of the uncomfortable emotions and parts of myself that I've been trying really hard to keep away from me. And I find that the heart is the gateway to access that, so you can actually have that sense of liberation on your journey as an entrepreneur.
So do you think people need to face those parts of themselves, or can they just keep kind of running at a sprint?
Well, it depends. Depends on what you want. If you want freedom, true freedom, not the money conversation freedom, which is a very shallow type of freedom, not to dismiss it. It's great having money. We love having money. We're all working towards making more money. Nothing wrong with that at all. But it's like, if you truly want to understand who you are and you want to access your true potential at a level that most people cannot even fathom to begin to imagine what that's like, then you have to face your own darkness. Because if you don't do that, what you're doing is you're suppressing, you're avoiding, and you're rejecting. And I want to tell you something that fits very well to marketing. So one of the biggest struggles that people have when it comes to marketing is the fear of being visible. Right? They don't want to show themselves on camera or on pictures, and maybe they do it here and there, but doing it consistently, that's an edge for a lot of founders. And so what gets in the way of that is the fear of rejection. But here's the real thing. It's like we say that we're afraid of being rejected by other people, but that's not true. We're afraid of rejection because we're already rejecting ourselves. You cannot experience something which you're not already doing to yourself in the moment. You cannot experience it. So what are you rejecting then? Well, you're rejecting all of the parts of yourself which you deem undesirable. So the fear, the shame, the guilt, the anger, the hopelessness, the weakness, the people pleaser, the liar, the manipulator, right? There's so many labels, but it's all put into the darkness cabinet and then closed and then put a lock on and pretend that that's not there, right? No, I'm all positive. I'm just good. I only do great things, I'm just a divine being of light and love. It's like, yeah, bro, bullshit. Like you're also that. And when you reject these parts of yourselves, guess what? You are afraid of rejection from the outside because it's already happening. And that's why it's one of the reasons why you have to face that. Because when you bring that part of yourself home, you're like, you know what? I'm not just light and love. I'm also darkness. And I can embrace that. I can bring that home. Doesn't mean you have to live it out. Then guess what? That part no longer feels rejected. And your fear of rejection instantly starts decreasing to the point where it goes away.
So what do you mean by darkness? Like what's an example? Is it just the parts of yourself that you might not like, or tell me more?
Yeah. So let's talk about the shadow, right? What is the shadow? It was coined, I think, by Jung, Carl Jung, who talked about the shadow. The shadows are all the things that live in the unseen, in the unconscious, in the parts of you that you don't know that are there. You might have some sort of like feeling to it, but it's like, I can ask you, Alexander, it's like, what parts of yourself are you trying to improve right now?
That's a list right now. Consistency is one that I'm generally working on almost at all times.
So what's underneath consistency?
What's underneath?
Yeah. What drives you to say, I want to be more consistent?
Well, the external, one of my favorite quotes from Jim Collins, I actually have it on my wall over here. It's the signature of mediocrity is chronic inconsistency. So there's something about consistency and greatness, but there's some kind of inner battle there where, I wake up, it's the inner bitch, basically. I don't know if you've you wake up like, I'd like to sleep in today,
Yeah.
Or, oh man, this thing seems hard. And so there is a battle with basically that, like the inner wimp, however you want to say it. But it's like, yeah, that sounds nice. Maybe I can go on a walk right now instead of, writing this thing I'm supposed to write.
Right. So listen to what you said in the beginning, right? When I asked you what's underneath consistency, and then you talked about the quote that you gave, and essentially the fear of mediocrity. What does mediocrity mean? Mediocrity, in essence, means I'm like everyone else. I'm not special, right? Because I'm not great, and so there's a fear you have to be mediocre. That means there's a part inside of you that you label as mediocre. Oh, the one that sleeps in, the one that doesn't feel like doing what he said he's going to do instead of going for a walk. And so your relationship to the part of you that exists there is based in judgment. It's mediocre, that thing. But what if that thing that you call mediocre is actually your part that helps you understand to also rest more? To soften, to not be all about hard, let's go, push, because that's only one part of your human experience. And see, in this way, when you have the parts of yourself that you're trying to fix, that you're trying to improve, that's in your shadow. And personal development, unfortunately, has brainwashed so many of us to think that we need to fix ourselves, that we need to improve ourselves. Now, listen carefully, because I know what maybe you, but some of your listeners might be thinking, did he say that I don't have to improve myself? Wait, what do you mean? Well, I'm not talking about the self. You can improve your skills, right? Your talents, your abilities. I'm all for that. But yourself, if you say that I have to improve myself, you're saying that who you are is not enough. So your whole journey of improvement is based upon I'm not good enough. So anything that you do only reaffirms I'm not good enough. You're actually not improving. You're just keep saying, yep, I'm not good enough. Yep. Which is why all of the high performers struggle with this thing. It's never enough. It's never enough. And they have been brainwashed to think that's a good thing. That keeps me going, right? But you're just operating from a place of scarcity the whole time. You're just operating from a place of chronic stress the whole time. Whereas the opposite would be, I'm already whole and complete, and I'm acting from that completeness. See, I'll give you an example in sales. If I come into a sales conversation believing that I'm not enough, that I'm broken, that I'm something wrong with me, that I need to fix myself in some sort of way, now I'm coming in with the energy of scarcity, which means now I'm immediately more focused on my own needs because I'm in a survival state. And so if I'm more focused on my needs, what happens in the sales conversation?
I can't hear the other person. I'm not going to respond as well.
Exactly. I'm not serving them. I'm not making it about them. I'm making it about me. I'm making it about me trying to get a sale and winning. And so the other person across me is like, I don't like this. I don't feel this. This is weird. Whereas the other one is like, I'm already whole and complete. I am who I am, and I am the way that I am. That means I'm not in a survival state. Now I can access abundance. Now I can be more focused on you. Now I can truly understand what are your needs, what are your wants, what are your desires, what are your problems, and I can speak into that, and I can do it from a detached place. I don't have to manipulate you. I can just say, hey, this is what it is. These are all the case studies that we have. This is what we do. And if you fit into that, awesome, let's work together. It's going to be amazing. But if you don't fit into that, let's just call it off right here, right now. And that's where a lot of people fall short because they're like, whatever, let me just get the money and we're going to make it work. And then you have a terrible client and the client is unhappy with you. Then you end up feeling more like a failure, like a fraud. So that accumulates. So on your next sales call, you have even more doubt going on for yourself. You're stressed out. Your team is stressed out. And the whole suffering is just fully kicked into gear.
So let me describe how I there's a balance here, because we do want to, like you said, we do want to get better. We want to, I want to achieve great things. I want to be great, So kind of how I think about this is, because physical stuff is easier for us to picture, So let's say I weighed 300 pounds. Well, I can still say, I am enough. I am a child of God, however we want to look at that. But this 300-pound me is not in alignment with who I really am, with my best self. And so I've got to go to the gym. I've got to work this stuff off because really, on the inside, I'm a healthy, fit individual. But to get there, I've got to go through the hard work of eating well and working out and kind of, trimming the fat. And so I kind of picture that. That's kind of the image that I have for this stuff. And for me, that's how I look for that kind of alignment. It's more about uncovering, revealing that best self that's already there under the fat is this healthy, fit individual. I've just got to go find this guy. I've got to do the work to reveal, what's in there. And I mean, to also create it, because if I'm 300 pounds, I probably don't have a lot of muscle, So there also is that kind of becoming the person who I was born to be, who's really, inside. I kind of see life as like, if we look more on a metaphysical way, life has kind of put that weight on me. And I'm, like I mentioned, I'm kind of like killing the inner bitch day by day, like uncovering this stuff that life has put on to get at that core self that I was born to be. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that approach, and feel free, be totally honest here.
Yeah. So I'll give you a very real example, because the very first person that I officially coached over a year was a guy from Germany. His name is Chris. Shout out to Chris if he listens to this. He was, so I have to think in kilograms, or in pounds. So on a kilogram level, he was weighing, what was it? 100, I think it was 150 kilograms. So that's like what, 300 pounds plus?
Yeah.
Something like that. And he was
a little over 300 pounds. Yeah.
Height 170 centimeters, 170 centimeters, something like that. I don't know what that is in inches or feet. People have to do their own but it's relatively, it's not like tiny, but it's like relatively short and very, very obese. And the guy didn't leave his home, totally depressed. And guess what? Yeah, I just need to fight myself. I need to work hard. I need to, just stop being such a bitch. Exactly the same thing. And then I came in. Yeah. The first thing that we did was to learn to accept himself, was to learn to accept what he feels and where he's at in life. Because his whole mindset was, I'm not where I should be. I should be the fit guy over here, but I'm this fat guy over here. I was like, yeah, but that's not true. You are that. You are who you are in this moment. There's only this moment. The future isn't there.
Yeah,
right?
You're the fat guy. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I didn't use fat. There. I didn't tell him that you are a fat guy. I said you are you. You are Chris, right? You are. And there's parts of Chris that he had been pushing away. He's like, no, it's the little bitch in me that made me put on all that weight, right? It's the weak, mediocre part of me that made me put on that weight. It's like, no, you put on that weight. It's like, you did that. Those are your choices, and we don't need to create a battle around that conversation. It's like, can you accept it so you finally arrive in this moment? And so what I did with him, not being a fitness trainer at all, is I helped first of him understand where is his pain tied to, because the reason he was overeating is because he was stuck in this emotional loop of pain. See, the eating was not the problem. The eating was the solution, right? And that's, bear with me, because a lot of people are probably thinking like, what do you mean? Of course the eating is the problem. He's eating junk food all day long, right? It would be like saying to an alcoholic, alcohol is not the problem. Well, no, alcohol isn't the problem. It's the solution. Food is the solution to a deeper seated problem. The deeper seated problem is the trauma, and is the reason why he started eating that way in the first place. So guess what? What happens if you don't deal with the trauma? You trying to lose weight and getting in shape is 500 times harder, because you are fighting that inner battle, and now you have to also fight the outer battle. It's double the effort. Whereas what I did with him is I helped him forgive. I helped him let go of the pain. I helped him accept certain things in his life, right? He had so much regret about his past. It was like, oh, I should have done that. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have taken this career path. It's like, yeah, but you didn't. And he was holding on to all of that. And so the moment we went through that healing process, guess what? His weight loss just went through the roof. He lost half his weight. Half. Wow. Now he is participating in CrossFit tournaments. He's inspiring people. He's a completely new human being, unrecognizable. I didn't spend 1 minute talking about his nutrition or his workout routines. I was like, you're going to figure that out yourself. Because, and here's the cracker, Alexander, is when you let go of the pain and the trauma, you no longer need the coping strategy, which in this case is the food. Then you will naturally resolve to behaviors that match your new identity. Right? So his new identity was, I'm a healthy person. I'm a happy person. So I go work out. I eat well. I take time to connect with people. And that made the whole thing different. And that created these rapid results for him. And when, this is why we have to always at first come back to a place of wholeness and alignment, because there the necessary actions to get the desired results, they become effortless, they become natural. You don't have to force yourself. It's not this grind thing every day, like, I have to get out of bed. It's like, no, I want to get out of bed. I'm excited to get out of bed because I love my day. I love what I'm creating, and there's no force needed.
So, I love this. The actions are the same. The person's Chris, he needed to go to the gym and he needed to eat better.
Sure.
Okay. But he was stuck because of this mindset and this negative view of himself.
Yeah.
And when that was resolved, he still had to go to the gym and he still had to eat better. But this mindset shift changed everything.
Yes.
And I love that. And just for anybody who's triggered by me saying I got to wake up and kill the inner bitch every day, like there's not like a self-hate there, It's like, yeah, there's a part of me that just wants to chill, not go to work, but that's not who I want to be. And it's not a self-hate. It's just like hey, let's go get stuff done, But I love that core mindset shift. So one of the things that you've said is most founders aren't stuck because they don't know what to do. They're stuck because they're still carrying an identity that was built on survival, not truth. What does that mean?
Do you still remember the moment you decided to become an entrepreneur? Or the period in your life where you decided, I'll do my own thing? Do you remember that time?
Yeah.
Can you describe it? What happened there?
I don't know. I just felt like this is what I was born to do. I was in college, and in college you're looking at where are you going to go next? What am I going to do with this degree? I studied religion and philosophy, so it helped me become who I am, and I'm grateful for that. But and that's really why I did it, But as I was looking ahead at, okay, what am I going to do next? It was just that. This is what I was born to do. And it was that simple for me.
Beautiful. Did you have any sort of experiences in the past where you tried to do other things, like work for other people, and you had a negative experience and you're like, I'm definitely not doing that? Or was it from the moment that you were born in your family, you just knew? It was just boom, there.
Yeah, so both. When I was younger, I wanted to be a movie director. And so that's still a leadership. It's kind of the CEO of a movie, the production team and all that. So from a really young, and even in junior high, I had this old VHS camera that my dad had, and I kind of commandeered it. It's mine now, and I'd get the neighbor kids together and boss them around, and we'd make a little movie. And so, yeah, there's always this sense of leadership. But after college, I didn't immediately start a business. I was going to start a business with a friend, and we got to the point that we were about to launch, and he decided to join the military. And I was like, okay, fine. So I'd had jobs, basically since I was 16. Since the day I could get a job, I've had a job. And so I've been working while we were doing that, continued getting jobs. And it was by the time I was 27, I realized my quality standards and my ambition and my vision are all greater than every boss I've had. And I drive my bosses crazy. Was kind of part of that realization. So it was when I was 27 that I finally decided just to go out and do it.
Right. Okay. So you had an experience where you felt that the environment that you were in couldn't give you what you desired.
Yeah, it could barely even contain me. Like I basically got let go from a job because I was thinking bigger than the bosses. So like my environment couldn't even contain me is how it felt.
Okay, good. So that to me sounds like that there was some form of pain in that experience. You were let go. You probably didn't feel understood. You didn't feel supported in that environment. You expressed your desire for more, and they were like, "What are you talking about? Like, I don't understand." So there was I'm assuming there was a sense of frustration there. There was some form of pain that made you decide, you know what? Nah, I'll do my own thing. So I'll tell you my story too, and then I'll make sense of this for both. For me, my last boss choked me. He punched me in the he punched me in the face. I then choked him against the wall. But he initiated the whole thing. He punched me in the face. And the job that I had before that, he physically punched me. I was like, thank you for that. That was a great experience. You know, in the moment, obviously not. But looking back, I say, because he was the last boss on earth that I had. I never had a boss again. And for me, the desire to become an entrepreneur was born out of a sense of proving people wrong. It's like, you doubted me? Watch me, motherfucker. Like, you'll see, right? You questioned my ideas?
Yeah.
You didn't support me? Okay, watch me. So it created a drive to prove myself, to prove my worth. And what I hear from you, there's also a sense of a fight kind of energy in that. And so that's what I mean by survival strategies is internally, you don't feel safe in these moments, right? In that moment, you didn't feel safe to be yourself, to be who you truly are, not seen in the way that you are, not supported in that. So you decided from that place, I'm going to do something about it. And that's not wrong. That's not bad. It's just simply what created it. And the problem is, and just like for me it did, it creates this hustle kind of grind, survival, fight energy, like watch me, and then you go. Now, the problem is that energy, that type of energy, that type of thinking, that type of archetype only gets you so far. Like if you have this hustle grind approach and now you want to lead a team, good luck. Because that's a very different dynamic. See, you started out by showing the world, it's me. It's me, myself, and I. It's me against the world. I'll make this happen. But now you have other people to take care of. Now you need to make it about them. Now you need to empower and lead them. But if the hustler grinder is in charge, you're not going to do that. The actions that are required to take are not natural to you. And so I work with clients like that all the time. What do they end up doing? Micromanaging and controlling their teams. Like I had a client the other day where he said to me, my team approached me and they said, they gave me some, they try to give me some feedback, but the way that I felt in the moment was they were all attacking me. They were conspiring against me. And I was like, what happened afterwards? I freaked out. I just shut them down and said, no, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it this way. I was like, okay, got it. And this is exactly that. So business has different stages and requires different evolutions of characters. Like to be a truly functioning, empowered CEO, you cannot be the one who does all the work all the time anymore, like you used to when you started out. You cannot be the one that it takes all the credit for everything, because now you have people to take care of and you need to empower them to make sure they feel like, man, I'm doing something here. And that is a radical shift in your identity, right? Or take the people pleaser. When, for a long time, I was operating out of a people pleaser identity. meaning that I was trying to get people to like me. Now, what does that look like in business? Well, you don't set boundaries. You don't have difficult conversations. You don't really go for the kind of people that you want to go to because you're not even creating the content that is truly you, because you're thinking, I can only create the kind of content that people will like. If I say what I really feel, well, then I don't want to ruffle feathers here. So the people pleaser then stays in power. And in essence, this is why when you're starting out, often it comes out of a survival place. But when you're evolving, you have to also evolve your identity to that of a true leader. And if you don't do that, you're going to end up sabotaging yourself to go back to the default identity, which is the hustler, the grinder, the controller, the people pleaser.
You just used the phrase evolve your identity. And so I'm curious because you're also talking about accepting yourself. So how do these two ideas kind of work together? Are we digging deeper into that core self, or is there something to becoming the next version? Like, what is that? How do those things work together?
Does accepting something mean settling?
Yeah.
Right? And I get that. And the irony is actually the opposite. So let's take a marketing example. Right? Let's say you have a business owner who realizes, okay, that in order to garner more attention to their offering, to their business, they need to post consistently on LinkedIn, right? And they need to do it on video, right? To share themselves, to talk to camera, and they are mortified. They've never done it. They're like, oh my God, this is so weird. This is so cringe. I don't want to do it, right? Now, what holds them back from being able to consistently post the required action is what? Is that fear, right? Is that whole, oh my God, I don't want to look stupid, right? So now what most people do is they try to fight that fear. They're like, no, I'm not afraid. I got this. Come on, let's go. It's not that bad. Just do it. And that conversation is actually coming from that fear. It's the fear that is having that conversation with itself. Acceptance means, you know what? Yeah, actually, I do feel quite afraid about people not liking what I'm going to post. Huh. Yeah. Okay. You see, immediately everything starts to soften. I'm not fighting it. I'm just acknowledging it. Okay, that's what it is. I got it. And so think about this fear as a part of yourself. Now, you have children, so you'll understand this. If one of your children, or you have another one on the way, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but you have that one. Okay, so if that one child goes, Daddy, I can never do this. I'm so stupid. I can never ride my bike. What do? What's the first thing that you do?
Oh, yes, you can.
Do you go, they're crying and you straight look at them and say, no, you can. Is that what you do? Straight away?
Are you asking how I'd actually respond?
Yeah. What would be the first thing? They're throwing a tantrum, right? They're like, oh my God. They're crying. They're like, all over the place. Do you then go, no, you can do it? Or is there something else you do?
Well, my wife and I, we try to empathize first. So I hear you saying,
okay,
like, this is hard.
Okay, good.
Yes. Yeah. And what we're looking for is that, because my kid's 2. Right. So he's not there yet. So what you're saying, but what he does is he repeats the thing until he knows that we get it. Right. So sometimes I want this, And so what we found is we can't respond to the desire. We first have to say it back to him. And we were actually having this conversation last night about what are we going to do with hard things. And we were processing through all the responses that we've heard our friends say, because all of our friends at this point are parents. Yeah. And where we ended up was, hey, I know this is hard, but we do hard things. Exactly. There's that combination. It's not just we do hard things.
Yeah. So look what you just did. You acknowledged.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I get it. Like, that's empathy. It's like, I understand it. I get that. And immediately you
I
diffuse
hear
the other person.
this riding the bike is scary.
Right? It's like, yeah, it is
Feels like you're
scary.
out of
I
control.
get it. Right? And immediately the other person or you yourself go, oh, so I'm not wrong for feeling that way? You're like, no, I get it. Huh. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Well, it's difficult and I can do it. All right, I'll do it. You see? But most of us, we don't accept because we think I shouldn't be afraid. I'm a 35-year-old grown-ass man. I've sold 2 businesses. I've got another business here already. Why am I afraid? That's stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't be ridiculous. That's the usual conversation we have with ourselves. And if you come from a place of love and you say, hey, it's okay to be afraid. I get it. Immediately your whole system starts to slow down and you go out of the survival, which means you taking the necessary action becomes easier. And that's the whole point of the acceptance. The acceptance is not, oh, fine, whatever, just don't do it. Okay. No, that's avoidance. But acceptance is you're acknowledging the experience that is taking place in the moment without making it wrong.
I love that. One of our goals that we've talked about since my son was born has been we don't want our kids to have to question reality, which is what happens when they are saying, I feel this thing. The most common, this gets me, and no judgment to those who do this, but like kids say, like they fall over. What do the parents say? Oh, you're okay. It's like, hold on a second. No, the kid's crying. The kid is communicating to you that he's not okay.
Yeah.
And I want our first response to be acknowledging his current reality.
Really good.
So that he doesn't grow up questioning, is what I'm experiencing real? Or having that voice. I've got a friend who he'll reprimand himself. And I'm like, oh, that's your parents. Like their voice has just lodged itself in your head, and you're now repeating the reprimand that your mother would have given you if she was here right now.
Right.
And it just makes me so sad to hear that.
Yeah. And you see what you just said is
that a kid growing up knowing what I'm experiencing is real and okay. Is life-changing for that kid because then they can push through it like you're saying.
Yeah. Exactly. Such good parenting right there. So thank you for bringing that forward. And think about what you just said, right? You have that one friend who's always reprimanding himself, always beating himself up, and you realize, those are the parents. That's where these identities stem from, right? I grew up in a emotionally unstable environment. Like I had a parent that was struggling with life, just working extremely hard, 3 jobs, but struggling a lot emotionally. And I, as a little kid, became the caretaker, the emotional caretaker, so the pleaser, the fixer, the savior. And so I didn't know any of those things, right? That was just life for me. And so later on, then I started to draw the line. Right now, for instance, leveling up and working with higher tier clients. Like I want to get to eventually only working with like a handful of people and charge them a lot of money, right? So like high net worth individuals. When I first got into that, guess what kicked in? The people pleaser. Because those kind of people, they only want real talk. They want people that give it to them straight, that don't cover up in the niceties and the positivities. Like, no, dude, just give it to me straight. And my previous identity was like, oh my God, I can't do that because then they're not going to like me. Then they're going to be upset. You see, immediately that identity becomes a business bottleneck. And that is why we have to understand how have we been conditioned since childhood, because that conditioning is still playing itself out. And the problem is there's a whole industry around it that calls it, that's just the price that you have to pay. It's like, nah, dude, that's just an ineffective way of living your life and being an entrepreneur.
How do you know this alignment, how do you know when you're there? You know, another one of the things that you've said is when your energy is clean, your strategy works, your actions flow, and growth no longer feels like a grind. And this energy being clean kind of sounds like alignment. So tell me about this energy being clean, but also tell me, how do you know when you're there?
Yeah. So you feel, obviously there's stages. It's not this black and white either or kind of thing. But I would say some of the markers, the indicators are, you feel a lot more peace just throughout your day. I feel a lot more peace, and your peace isn't conditioned anymore upon hitting certain milestones. It's just your way of being, your way of living your life. Your body has a lot more ease, right? Peace is mentally, ease is physically. So your shoulders are more relaxed, right? You're not as tense, and you don't have all that stress anymore. Even if you have a lot happening in your business, a lot of complexity, you're a lot more relaxed about it. You are not as quick to react. You can actually take a moment rather than going, oh, fuck, why? He's like, let me take a breather. Let me take a breath, just one breath. You're not so reactive in your decision-making anymore. Something happens. Oh my God, fire. I need to respond to that. Quick. It's like, no, I have strategies in place, medium to long term. It may require short term some shifts. Maybe my revenue dips a little bit, but that's because I'm dedicating energy to building a lead and sales system that brings long term growth. And so you're not as stressed out about that anymore. You're way more present with people. Like you and I talking. I don't have that voice constantly. Oh, wait, what is he thinking? What should I say? No, it's just you're you. You're you. You have less of a need to fix yourself, to improve yourself. The improvement happens naturally without you trying to enforce it. It's like, imagine in my case, a soccer player, because I love soccer, right? The soccer player, like take Ronaldinho, right? Legendary player. Would you say that Ronaldinho was in the grind? That he was just like, just fucking go every day? Would you say that was the kind of type?
I would imagine, we could either use the word flow or in the zone.
Exactly. So he was training very hard, every day, nonstop. No doubt about that. He was fit, crazy fit. But did he look like that? Did it look like it was hard for him? Like he was suffering at doing it? No. He was having the time of his life. He was having so much fun. Why? Because he was aligned. He was himself. Everyone knew that this guy was himself all the time. He was always laughing, making jokes, wherever he was, even when they were losing, right? He's always had that thing to him. That's just his essence, his being. It wasn't a performance. He didn't have to put up an act. He just was that way. And guess what that is? Acceptance. He's like, yeah, I don't like that person. Okay, I don't have to force myself to like that person. I don't want to spend time, going to that family dinner with 15 out of 20 people that I never talk to ever. Why do I force myself to even go there? You know what? I'm good. I don't want to work with that type of client. I just don't. Oh, but it's a great opportunity. Nah, I'm good. Thank you. Right? You're naturally letting go of the stuff that isn't yours anyways. And you're so much more connected to God. So much more connected to God. Like, here's the thing. I don't identify as a religious person at all, but I'm very deeply connected to God. I'm also very deeply connected to Jesus. Not necessarily in the religious way, in my own way. And the irony is, yesterday, I have a guy in my Zenpreneur group accelerator. His name's Cam Goff. He's a devout Christian. And he said to me, it's like, dude, I've learned more from you about my connection with God than I have in my whole life from any pastor. I was like, I don't know how you do it, but you embody this. You embody what the preachers talk about, you live it. And I don't go to church. I've never read the Bible, but I can tell you what I've done. I've let go of all the parts of me that are the performer, the controller, the pleaser, the manipulator. And I've come back to my essence. And now I connect to God all the time, all the time. Like, it's so effortless. And I feel so full on the inside. I'm with my wife now 9 years, 2 years married, 9 years together. Our relationship just gets better and better and better and better all the time. And, we don't do crazy things, but we do this work. And I have made so much peace with people. I've forgiven everyone in my life. I've let go of people that have betrayed me, stolen from me, abused me, you name it. And so that existence is an existence of lightness. It's one of joy. It's one where you find meaning in the day-to-day life, where you can look at the sky and think, wow, I'm alive. You can, drink a glass of tea and you go, what a gift. And that is an experience where you're always connected, where you're tapped into your own unique gifts and talents. And then entrepreneurship becomes way more fun, is way more successful, and you're truly growing, not at the expense of yourself, but with yourself. That's when you're evolving, not fixing.
So one of your YouTube videos, you talk about God as CEO. Tell me about that.
God as a CEO means that you surrender the things that you are attached to. So you surrender. I'll give you a very life example, right? I set a goal for myself this year, at the beginning of the year, to go 4x. Just like, bam, last year was great. I'm going to go 4x. It's going to be fantastic. I have the mechanisms in place. Let's just go. And then Q1, I was like, oh my God, I'm nowhere near where I thought I should be. No, it's not working. I'm doing more than I did last year. What the heck is going on? Oh my goodness. And I was suffering. I was in that. I was like, oh my God, I was trying, pushing, forcing, and it just wasn't working. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to surrender. I'm going to surrender that goal. I'm going to surrender the process. I'm going to surrender it all. Now, what does surrender mean? Surrender means that you're letting go of an attachment to an idea. This is the way it has to happen. This has to happen. And so I surrendered it all. And I said, God, my way clearly isn't working. I surrendered to your way. Show me your way. Show me your way. And so I let go and I let go. And there was emotions that came up. There was uncertainty. There was fear. There was shame and guilt, like, I'm not doing good enough. All of that stuff. And I was like, I'm surrendering it all. I'm letting it all go. And the more that I did that, all of a sudden, I started hearing some things. It's like, do more events. Do more events. I love events. Why am I not doing more events? Of course. Talk to that person. That person. I haven't talked to that guy in forever. Why? It's weird. Talk to that person. All right, call him up. I say, oh my God, incredible connection. Let's build something together. Stop talking about the whole money thing. You've outgrown that. Oh my God, what? I've built an entire successful business around that last year. What do you mean? I'd try to go 4x. That's not who you are anymore. Oh, no, but please, no. It's the attachment, right? Suffering. It's not who you are anymore. Okay, all right, I'll surrender. And I surrender and I surrender and I sit in that. I don't know what to do. And you get quiet and quiet and quiet, and then you start hearing guidance. You start feeling pulled to something, and that's God's plan. And that overrides your plan. And so if you had interviewed me 2 months ago, I would have been in a completely different state. More like stressed out, like, heavy. Now I'm feeling fantastic because I've let go of so much stuff. And I feel way more empowered. Things are flowing. I feel now I'm repositioned in a way that truly speaks to who I am and what I do in the world. And now I'm ready to, double down again on that. And to me, that's when you have God as your CEO, is like, you got to give up your way, all of those ways. And you will find that your ways are no longer working when they no longer create this enriching experience for you. Because life is not just about getting results. If it was all about getting results, then, we might as well all, break a bank, steal money there. It's easier, higher risk, but it's still easier to do. Where I think entrepreneurship is truly a pathway to realize who you actually are. And once you've realized that, you build from that place. See, I've realized who I am. And my belief, who I am is love. Who I am is the infinite presence of the universe. Who I am is limitless and powerful. Already now. I don't need millions in the bank to prove that to me. That's who I am. So now, from that place, what wants to come through me? Oh, a new event series. Oh, something that I'm going to be traveling internationally with. Oh, wow. Okay, I love that. What else? Okay, move to another place. Okay. Stop doing this strategy. Don't go on Instagram anymore DMing people. That's just not who you are. Do more podcasts. Okay. All right. So you see, when you're letting go of your way, all of a sudden these subtle shifts start to happening and come in. And that's when you're hearing God's plan. And to me, that is a guarantee for all of the good things in life, because it's coming from God, not from your ego.
So do you still, this idea of surrender, I love it. Do you still set goals?
I do. Mostly now they are process driven. So I focus on the input. Okay, so I'm going to run 2 events a month, and I'm going to invite this many people to these events. And then, once I've done that, okay, let me see. Can I maybe increase it? Do I feel like it's ready to be increased? Okay, let's do that. Does it serve me? Yeah, okay, do that. And funnily enough, the more I do that, the higher the revenue goes without me trying it, because I'm focused on the process that I can influence, that I have a greater degree of control over, versus on the output where I have no control over. And I find that process-driven goals help you focus on who you are being moment to moment to moment to moment. And that just makes you so much more successful.
So how do you create a process-driven goal? Is it taking the outcome you want and kind of reverse engineering it and then setting the goals around the process? Or is it just what am I capable of? What is possible given my time constraints or whatever else? And that's going to be the process goal, and we'll see where I go to.
I think an easy way is to reverse engineer an outcome where you're like, okay, what do I want? Like, what do I genuinely want? Okay, let's say I want to build a $5 million business. Okay, good. Why do I want that? Get clear on it, right? Okay, I want it because it will help me then buy a house for my family, buy a piece of land. Maybe I can then start investing into nonprofits, or maybe I can then start my political career, right? Whatever you truly desire. Then you ask yourself, okay, how much do I need to be able to do that in the way that I want to do it? Okay, that's the sum. Then you reverse engineer, okay, what do I have to do on a daily basis to actually get to that target? And then you say, okay, on a daily basis, I send 50 DMs, or I get onto 5 calls, or meaning I've sent 5 invitations out to like maybe a more private mastermind group that I'm part of, where it's not this cold outreach kind of way. Maybe it means waking up at 6 a.m. and then doing my morning routine and then taking care of these inputs, right? It's a process that you create. It's a process that you can control. That as long as you focus on that process, sooner or later, the goal will take care of itself naturally. It's just like my old client, Chris. He knew he wanted to drop weight. So what did we do at some point? Okay, here's your routine. Focus on the routine. That's not different, right? But it's the energy behind it. And the energy behind it decides whether you're able to sustain it and enjoy it and be powerful inside of it, or whether you're going to be suffering, be ineffective, and just essentially hate the journey.
So, man, we've covered a lot. And one of the things I love about this conversation is how much is almost paradoxical, but not quite. The acceptance combined with growth. We're not going to totally eliminate stress. We're going to change our mindset around it. And so what does somebody do? You're a coach. What does somebody do if they want to learn more, work with you, come to an event?
Yeah. So I would say, first of all, if you've made it until this point, I'd love to just hear what resonated from this conversation. What didn't resonate, right? I'm not here to convince anybody or to, give you this idea that I'm this guru guy. I'm sharing my journey. I'm sharing what worked for me and what worked for my clients, and maybe it can work for you too. And I'm just always excited to meet people, to connect with them, to learn about their journey, their pathway forward. And if this sparks even more of a desire, then I would say let's reach out and we can have a conversation. Not everyone is a fit to work with me. I'm not a fit to work with anyone. I hate the whole pitching, the whole trying to force things. For me, it's like, let's connect, let's have a conversation, see if this makes sense for us. And I always promise people that when you get into a conversation with me, my focus is always to serve you so powerfully that something in your life will instantly begin to change for the better. And yeah, you can connect with me on all the socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Just type in my name, Mario, Mario, Lanzarotti, Lanzarotti. And I look forward to hearing from anyone who feels called to connect.
Yeah, and we'll have all that in the show notes as well. So listeners can just scroll down and click the link to get where they want to go. Awesome.
Beautiful.
It's been great having you today.
Thank you for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Clear Brand Marketing Podcast. If you need help with your website or marketing, go to clearbrand.com. You can schedule a free strategy call with one of our consultants or take advantage of our free resources to help you write, design, or implement a better website and marketing.